Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another another episode of the late afternoon show with your boy Tim. Yo, it's gonna be different today. It's gonna be all the way different. You guys ain't ready for today. Hey, let it vibe. Hey, let's go. It's a vibe, baby. Vibrations. Yo, let us know. It is 5 o'clock on the Pacific Coast. It is 6 o'clock in Colorado, where our guest is joining us from. It's 8 o'clock all the way on the East Coast. If you are live with us, let us know in the chat. That's the only way you know that folks are joining us. Let us know your name. Let us know where you're coming from. We're going to vibe for a little bit as folks join. Hey. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. We're only on Tuesday, but let's make it good. All right, guys, I'm going to switch it up on you. I was feeling something today. In my month off, I took April off, and I was thinking, it's like, yo, how do I make this show and the stuff that I do? I mean, it's meaningful, it's engaging. I love the energy, but I want to incorporate more things that I love and that give me energy. So today, you guys might have seen the video that I posted showing how excited I was to see our guest today with me dancing. Guys, I'm going to play you guys some Afrobeat music today because that is how I jam. So you guys might not have known, but we're going to get some cardio in today. So as you're joining us, this is Afrobeat, okay? All you got to do is move your shoulders. If you're with us, I see my man in the backstage here. He's rocking, he's swaying. Let's go. Hey, this is from a guy named Diamond Platinums. Let's go. This song is called Fire because today's show is about to be fire, guys. Hey. I'm going to play you guys another one. I don't want to keep it too long. I just want to have folks join the party. The late afternoon show is live today. You can catch us on LinkedIn. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook. You can go to MrMeaningfulWork.com and check all the previous episodes. We're also on Spotify and Apple Music, so you have no excuse. There's no excuse. Here we go. This is the last one, and we're going to bring our guest on. Boom, bullet. Woo! Come on. Let's go. If you're watching this, let's go. Yo, I'm vibing. Boom, 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 boom. Look at this. Let's go. Shake your shoulders, baby. This is my workout today. I went to the gym, but this is the workout. All right, we're going to start in 5 seconds, guys. All right, maybe 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Just kidding. Hey. Guys, we're done. I'm cutting you all off. We're about to get started because we got a high flyer. We got a beast. We got a champion of innovation with us today, Mr. Erik Mitesek. Guys, I don't even have enough words to describe the type of impact that my man Erik has had over the years in his community, in his surroundings, and we're going to hear it straight from his mouth today. So without further ado, guys, if you are joining us live, I want you guys to put some clapping emojis. I want you guys to put some hearts. I want you guys to let us know that you are excited because right now we are going to welcome to the stage Mr. Erik Mitesek. Let's go. Oh, man. Wave to your fans, Erik. Wave. They're excited to see you.
You're amazing. So good to see you, Tim.
My man, Erik, how are you living, brother?
Things are awesome, man. I feel like the world's waking up.
Dude,
first meetings with my colleagues, first trips with some of our clients we've never met. Like, it's amazing. Like, the world's happening.
Yes, we're waking up. We're kind of stretching. We're taking deep breaths. Some folks are taking breaths behind their mask, but we're taking deep breaths. We're going out there, but we are doing it, man. How was the weather today in Denver?
Denver's awesome, man. Like, we're finally getting to those summer days where it's like, little rain, lots of sun, little rain, lots more sun. So it's good, man. I miss you.
Dude, I miss Denver so much. Like, I love the variation in season. I love the crispness. I love the people. I love the outdoors. I love that even when it snows, like, you can literally have it snow and the next day you're out in t-shirts and shorts and still enjoying the beautiful sunshine. So I look forward to every single opportunity that I have to come back to Colorado. But dude, Erik.
But I'll tell you, man, the one thing I know is since the pandemic, there's only one-way tickets out of California, man. So come on out, man. Everyone else is. Let's do this.
That is what folks are doing. I'm sure you guys are getting. And that's what when we were in Denver, and we had a lot of folks like were migrating to Colorado, and I'm like, yo, this is making everything more expensive. It's like, all right, we're going to stop telling people how great Denver is, because otherwise it's just the traffic is going to be bad. But then I was like, you know what? Let's take advantage of it. So we started doing a little bit of real estate. I was like, okay, we can start seeing how this can be beneficial to everybody. But man,
the biggest difference for me is the quality of entrepreneurs and the ideas and the companies and the brands. And, when you have like all of the household tech names now, either, second HQ or huge operating teams, plus like all these amazing, leaders come into the space, like the city's getting, it's always been amazing, but like we're on this like hyperdrive moment where the intellectual capacity of Denver's like,
man,
it's just awesome.
Awesome. You have seen it, and I think you're in an incredibly unique position because you've seen it from the days before to the powerhouse that it is now. And not only have you seen it, dude, you've had a hand in it. Like, my man's fist and hand and elbows was all the way in there to make sure that Denver was a household name. Colorado was a household name when it comes to tech, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to entrepreneurship. So, dude, if you don't mind, why don't you give us a quick history on where you started, your journey, and how you ended up where you are today?
I appreciate that. Colorado is a reflection of the awesome entrepreneurs and all those who've been building the community together. And so, to your point, I feel so blessed to have a little teeny part of pushing things forward. But, I think meeting so many awesome leaders that are passionate about what's happening here has been the real story of the state. And so It's so fun to see it come to fruition. It's always fun. When I look back, I've always had, one state, and I've only filed my taxes in one jurisdiction my entire life. I'm a Colorado native, born, lived here, never had an address, never moved out. Wow. And so I'm as Colorado as it gets. And, now in my mid 40s, like, I can't imagine like doing anything but like ending my life here. So it's like, I'm sold. But I grew up in Denver. I spent a bunch of time growing up in the western slope of Colorado. Always was entrepreneurial. I was that classic kid, the annoying one in your class that was trying to sell you baseball cards. I had a golf ball business. I was selling matchbooks when I was in 4th grade. Like, anything I could possibly make a buck to buy Nintendo games, I was trying to do it. So I think that was like the common thread in my life. But I was fortunate enough to come over to the Front Range. Always been entrepreneurial. Over the course of the last 20 years, I've been involved with, 5 early stage businesses where I've either been the founder or worked for founders. So my entire orientation to growing businesses is around that early stage inception of how to get it from like idea to growth and growth to scale. Yeah. And so that's just where I've lived, and it's been amazing. But, I went to the University of Denver, had an amazing time there. I would say probably one of the most critical chapters of my life. Living in Fruita, Colorado, not having context of the rest of the world, like, it opened my eyes to what Wall Street was and what capitalism could be and what entrepreneurship could be at scale. And, was fortunate enough to meet some entrepreneurs after I spent a couple of years at KPMG, wearing ties and suits and trying to figure out if that was the right path for me. And I went back to my selling baseball card days and joined an early stage business that tried to take on, the music industry. Back in the day was Napster and Yahoo Music, and We were fortunate enough to after some ups and downs, learn a lot about the legal world. But we were able to sell that business to a Canadian firm, and joined Steve Case and a couple awesome entrepreneurs here, Tom Filippini and Brent Handler.
Nice.
We're building exclusive resorts from the ground up, which is now a house name in the city, which has been awesome. And I just continually found myself at the intersection of software and a big market movement. Same thing in real estate. Same thing with partnering with Tom with Next Great Place. Took a little sabbatical in the middle of my career, which is probably my favorite chapter to give context to what's happening in the community. 2010, after the last financial crisis, we saw Denver kind of go through that dip, but it was more resilient than anyone else because we had real estate and we had aerospace and we had software. Like we went down, but we didn't go down deep like a lot of the communities. So we came back fast, and that was the time that Brad Feld and Phil Weiser and a bunch of guys were doing some startup community work, and the story from there. Denver Startup Week, some of the work we did with Startup Colorado. The Commons on Champa, the Call It Innovation Network, some work we did for the Startup Colorado Community Fund, which led to the Blackstone Entrepreneurship Network. And you look at each of these puzzle pieces in the community, kind of culminating with some of the work we've built in Colorado. And all those pieces started to build the framework of what's today. And I look out and it's an amazing place with amazing humans, and we're starting to reap the benefits of a bunch of hard work and, the awesomeness of Colorado. So.
Dude, man, that is, I picked up something in your story there. And before we talk about, what you're doing today, my question is, you said you kind of found yourself at the intersection of a big market movement and software. And, a lot of folks that find, success, they find themselves at these intersections. Like they're kind of at the ground floor of something that's happening, and they're able to take advantage of it and use their skill sets or use their resources and really kind of chase that, climb that swell. Outside of pure luck, what are some things that folks can do, or maybe some things that you did that can translate into what other folks do to position yourself to be at those intersections, right? Some folks are like, what's the next big things? Like, is it NFTs? Is it the internet? Is it, whatever it is, or real estate in 2008? Like, what is, how do you position yourself to be at those intersections to see that kind of growth?
I think you can't underestimate luck. Like luck is the unequivocal champion of all entrepreneurial success. So you can't undermine luck, like, 'cause it's critical. The two things I think are really important examples. I think I've always chose understanding the market opportunity, like things that I've been really passionate about and seeing things move. And then who are the smartest, most aggressive, awesome humans that are building something in that space? If you think about Exact Radio, right around the time I got interested in Exact Radio, broadcast.com, started by Mark Cuban, was just bought by Yahoo for like $5.5 billion at the peak of like this new audio movement, streaming movement of the web. Yeah. And so I was so interested, like, wow, if you're 10% successful and you build a $500 million business in the streaming space, there's a lot of music. People love music. So I was interested in the category, and I sought out the entrepreneurs that were doing the best work. And so I met one of the senior executives at one of the largest radio operators in the U.S. I met one of the GMs of the radio industry here in Colorado, and they were excited about streaming, and there was that intersection. And I would say the same thing is true about exclusive resorts. Like, when I heard the first pitch of like, hey, we're going to sell a country club membership to access multi-million-dollar homes, and we're going to call it a destination club. And I was like, these guys are either nuts or completely brilliant. I can't tell right now.
Smartest people in the world.
You look at Brent Handler, and you look at Tom Filippini, and you look at his brother Brad Handler, who's like one of the first in-house counsels at eBay. Like, these guys on their worst day were the best and smartest people in the room, and they were backed by the best people in the category. And so you fast forward, Inspirato, which is Brent's latest project. I mean, that's a Colorado unicorn. I mean, it's $1 billion plus operation. He's never lost a match in his life. And so like that market opportunity combined with an amazing entrepreneur, if I'm a young entrepreneur that wants to build a business, I would find the Brent Handler of your whatever you're fascinated in. And I would say, like right now, you mentioned NFT. My brain is in the same spot with NFTs. I think NFTs is the most powerful thing in the blockchain crypto like library of opportunities for the next 20 years. Yes. And those who understand it quickly and make moves now and find the smartest people in the category to actually sweep out all the junk and find real stuff, they're going to be incredibly rewarded for that activity. And so my brain's in the same spot around that category.
Dude, Erik, you have just dropped some gems, and I normally capture some of the top moments and I put it in a show notes tomorrow. This is definitely going to be there. So for folks that are listening live, for folks that are catching this on the rebroadcast, I want you guys to hear what Erik just shared as far as like, how do you find that intersection? How do you find the bottom of that groundswell and ride it up? Luck, as you're saying, is important. Like sometimes it's just opportunity is just there. But the thing that you can control, like you said, is number one, figuring out what your niche is, like the things that excite you. So if it's real estate, if it's music, if it's whatever it is, like understand the thing that really drives you. But number two, find the smartest people that are in that space and find out how to connect with them. I'm huge on relationships. I'm huge on connecting. I feel like we live in a world where you pretty much have access to everybody, right? Like if somebody wants to connect with somebody else, whether it's by 5 or 6 degrees of separation, whether it's by technology, whether it's by books or whatever, you can connect with the smartest people in that industry and use that to, to find your groundswell and grow. So that's super exciting, man. Thanks for that. I want to talk to you about what you're doing now. So you're at Highwing, and my understanding is that it's technology around. Is it car insurance or data around? Talk to me a little bit about Highwing.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my most exciting project yet, and in that same category of finding the smartest human in the world, combined with market opportunity. Rob Cohen, who's the chairman and CEO of, one of Denver's next unicorns, IMA Financial Group, a business that I would say is like a 35-year overnight success. Like they've been grinding it out, and now they're just cresting that billion dollar cap. Right around 2015, the word insurance and technology were being conjugated into insurtech, and Rob has been a pioneer in the space from both operating an agency and driving insurance technology. And, I had a chance I've known him for a long time. We met through a lot of the community work that I was involved with and just had the chance to really figure out what the real opportunity was. And so I got invited into IMA Financial Group to really, work with alongside of a project they had called Imagine Analytics at the time, really flipping over rocks of like in this like $600 billion industry called middle market commercial insurance. What's the real problem? Yeah. And in 2017, I'll tell you, I mean, it's amazing. I felt like I took a teleporter back to like 1999. The biggest discovery we made is that, the $600 billion value stream that gets traded every year in insurance policies between really big companies and carriers like AIG and Chubb and all the people who sponsor golf tournaments, 100% of those transactions are done over email. And I was like, that's not possible. Like you can't trade $600 billion of anything over email. Like this is ridiculous. Yeah. And when we validated it, I was like, I ran to the opportunity. I was like I'm on this. Like we're building software. We're going to make it amazing. We're going to make insurance fun. And we did. And so we spent the last 3 years building the first open data platform for commercial insurance. Wow. And so today we're solving the transaction problem for emails inside the United States' biggest agencies and global carriers. In the next 5 years, we really hope to position ourselves as that true open data platform where once we understand the data layer between business partners, what are all the APIs and tools we can connect to it to start to really build a plaid of insurance around the ability to transact things efficiently, economically, and give insureds and clients the ability to transparently see the transaction. So it's a huge swing at the market. And it's an old sleepy industry. We're going as fast as we can in a slow space. But it's really fun. The team is like radical, greatest team I've ever worked with in my life. And we're chipping away at it piece by piece.
Yo, that is amazing to be able to see that opportunity and see that, it's been, like you said, it's been working, right, for the last however long.
100 years plus. I mean, email was the last big innovation, which sounds so crazy to even say the sentence. Like 1995, we could send an email with an attachment back and forth. Since 1995, nothing's happened in that category. And at the same time, like you can, your auto policy and your home policy, like you've got tons of options. You can buy it with your mobile phone. Like everything else has moved. But if you're like let's just pick one. If you're Ibotta and you need to like buy your insurance for the year and you've got 27 policies and $700,000 worth of insurance you need to buy, you're not going to buy it online. And so everyone trades that over email. So we're like, we got to fix that. So for that segment of the world, middle market and large insurance, we're fixing it.
Yo, that is fantastic. And so after we come back from our little fun times, I want to talk to you a little bit about innovation and your approach to thinking about how to be innovative. So one of the things that we tried with our guests last week that worked out really well, and I want to try it with you, is just to learn a little bit more about you. If you wouldn't mind sharing what your top 5 apps are on your phone and why. Like, what apps are you using all the time? If you deleted everything, you can only keep 5. What will those 5 apps be?
Are we doing that right now?
Right now, man.
Oh, right this second before we leave. All right, so I'm just gonna cheat and go straight through the ones that I use the most.
That's what we're talking about. The ones that you use the most.
Yeah, so I would tell you, like, I love content, so I'm always in a masterclass. Like, it's one of those things that whether I'm driving or I'm like getting ready to go to bed, like I love diving into masterclass. Yeah. My selfish hack in the world of reading, Blinkist, is like the thing, and it's like Blinkist, Blinkist. If you don't have it, get it tomorrow. It's every book in print in 15 minutes. So like if your friend's like, hey man, you should really check out this new book. And you're like, oh, I should read it. 15 minutes later, you're like, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm ready to roll.
What? So you get like the footnotes, the summary, the most important parts.
It's like cliff notes to every book that you've ever thought of. And you miss out. I mean, I will tell you, like, I love reading the full book. Yeah. You miss out on all the context. Yeah. And stories. Yeah. And like the really, really big caverns and tunnels you go into really, really great writers. Like that's like that sucks. Like I don't admit that that's better. But at 30,000 feet, if I can talk about something that's completely rad, I absolutely love it. I use Day One. It's my journaling app. Like that, I spend tons of time in there. It's like catches photos and everything I do.
You said, what was it called? Day One?
Day One. Yeah.
Day One.
Yeah. And then of course, from a just from a business perspective, like I don't think anyone, can live without Slack, LinkedIn, Gmail, and those core tools. But I would stay focused on the fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
Anything else here that jumps out that's just like in my wheelhouse?
Do you for like fun and entertainment, do you like play any games? Do you listen to music? Do you watch movies? Or are you just like consuming content?
I'll listen to YouTube periodically. Yeah. I'm not a movie guy. Yeah. I mean, like my wife would tell you that like we go to like two movies live a year, and if I have to wear a seatbelt on the couch at home to like take down a Netflix film. Like it's like I'm not a movie guy. Clubhouse, I dabble in. Like if there's something coming up where I'm like, I want to hear that piece of content, I'll dabble in it. Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, all the usual suspects. Like really try to steer clear of some of that stuff. So I'm probably like every other entrepreneur trying to figure out how to maximize time and spend time where it's most valuable. And those are the areas that I do.
That is good. That is good. Well, we'll do the next one a little later, just to learning a little bit about Erik and how he spends his time. So the other thing I want to get into, man, is you have built a lot of your success, if not all of the success, around innovation and finding new ways of doing something. So whether it's music or destination or insurance or whatever, there's something where that you found an opportunity there. So what is your, I guess, philosophy on innovation? Is it completely out of the box, making 0 to 1 type of stuff? Is it, something else? What's your philosophy on innovation?
Yeah, I've always thought innovation is truly a discipline. And in my career, like I've always gravitated to the new thing or the evolving ideas or doing things more efficiently or things that don't exist that I really need in my life that I can't have. Like I've always gravitated to that like sphere of business. Yeah. And I've been, kind of allergic to the way things are, operational efficiency, like those things I've just never really, jived with. Yeah. And so for me, I've always thought it's a discipline. And like, I keep a whole bunch of idea lists on my phone. And what I've realized about ideas and innovation is that it's a discipline to have iterative thought and context, input, and like general ability to understand knowledge over time, I think formulates the best opportunities, because everyone has that hunch. It's like, hey, like this, if I had this product, the world would be like completely different. And I think it's like, I look at innovation as a discipline in the form of dots. Like if I look at like, if I read an article, I talk to 3 people, I delve in the industry, I figure out like my personal need set that I'm passionate about. Like if each of my dots are kind of like trending up and to the right, I'm usually pretty interested in those ideas. But I think an idea is like complete junk without any sort of movement, action, or execution. So like I have 64 ideas on this thing. I've got one I'm working on right now, which is highway. And it's like, even as exciting as they are, like the ability to move that context of an idea into the really bite-sized pieces to validate and test and understand and experiment and then dive deep, like that's where the discipline comes in. And I just think, having done this a few times and having the war wounds of, I would say fire ready aim. So running into the opportunity, being like, let's do this. We're going to fight Napster tomorrow. Like I've done that. Right. Yeah. And I got completely torched versus being really pragmatic with our latest business, which is like, what do our users really need? Like these users inside these insurance agencies, they're copying and pasting out of Excel. They're looking at paper documents and like, transcoding those into, like an application. Like they're doing really mundane work. What does technology do to evolve that? And so I just think over time, I've become a lot more mature in how I approach that. And as excited as I get, I love doing all the homework and the discipline of validating the ideas to go really deep on something before I spend lots of time, money, resources, and personal time on it.
I appreciate that. And the reason I ask is because I want our listeners, our viewers to be able to have tools. Like when they're telling their story or talking about their strengths, or I'm talking about my strength, and the word innovation is just thrown out. It's like, oh, I'm an innovative thinker, or I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm passionate about innovation. It's like, what does that really mean? How does that demonstrate? How does that manifest itself? And what I'm hearing from you is that it's not kind of a big bang, oh, we got this idea and this is going to change the world right away. But it's like you said, a discipline. You have the idea and then you test it out. You get context, you get feedback, you see if it's, like you said, trending up to the right. And then that's where you kind of start following it. So folks being able to articulate innovation in a way that shows that that discipline and that desire for feedback and that long game, right? It's not, like you said, a 35-year overnight success. Like these things take time, right? It's not something that's going to happen right away. But talk to us about your failures, man. We've heard a lot of success, man. Is there a particular failure that sings deep, that resonates, or that made you kind of was a catalyst for some significant growth? What's your favorite failure?
Favorite failure. I look back, like professionally, Exact Radio was really humbling. Like, I was in my early 20s. We're in the middle of kind of Web 1, like Web 1.0. Like, the tech bubble was upon us. We thought we were going to be like this $1 billion music juggernaut that was going to be the next Pandora. And it was really humbling. It was one of those situations where I was the first employee. I worked for a couple amazing founders. I came into the office one day and caught from message from our CEO that we had limited amounts of cash in our bank account. We needed to kind of wind down the business. And in your early 20s, like when you're high flying and thinking the world's going to be amazing, like to be spending every single moment in that and not have it turn out the way that you thought it would be and be part of that team on a day-to-day basis was really, really challenging. Yeah. And, I think the silver lining was that you were able to take care of our people. We were ultimately able to find a home for the assets and the business, but, it was humbling. And, I think for, your first startup where you get your first options grant and you're like, doing the mathematics of like, tell the number of shares you have and the valuation it's going to be at. And you're like, this is amazing. I'll be 30 and I'll be done. Like, that was a quick wake up call that it's not the game. And, and so, it was a great experience. And I think it gave me context and perspective of how to approach businesses and less focus on the outcome and an amplified focus on the humans and the team and the construction of the daily execution. And so my lesson from that was like, don't think about the outcome until the outcome. Like think about every single daily grind of like, the team and the activity and the milestone and it's the grind that nobody sees.
Yeah.
And then when you're able to motivate an amazing team of humans to like carry on a vision that's bigger than everyone else, like the outcome takes care of itself. And when you build great companies, you always have optionality. And so that was my takeaway. And I'm glad I learned it in my early 20s because you know, I would have hated to learn that in my 40s. Still been mining for that. So I feel blessed.
Yes, it's the process, not necessarily the outcome. If you're doing the process well, the outcome will take care of itself. And so just focus, focus on that process. A lot of us, my generation, I'm 34, so probably still in the millennial, and even the folks coming behind me, Gen Z, is like, we want things so quickly. Like we want it now. We want to be able to get that promotion now and be the boss now, or, you know, have overnight success. But what I appreciate about folks like you who have found success, but really are turning our perspective to focus on that process. I know Gary Vee talks about it all the time. It's like, it's the grind, like eat shit, like eat dirt, like understand like all the things like you were mentioning, like the relationships, the contacts, and the context that those contacts make in that process will eventually, you know, reap the results that you want. So
my favorite analogy in that process, and I think about business the exact same way. Like I go back to a Kobe Bryant interview, and he was talking about his first year in the league, and a lot of the other players, you know, they'd come in for an 11 o'clock practice, they go, you know, they take a break, they do a 3 o'clock practice, and then they'd go to weight training and be done for the day. And he said, I was exactly the opposite. I woke up at 4 a.m. I did a 7 to 9. I took an hour break. I did a 9 to 11. I took it at lunchtime. I did a 12 to 2. And by the end of the day, I had already done 100% more than the rest of my team. And when you multiply that by 20 years, that's 100% more times 20 years. Like I could not be anything but better.
He literally doubles himself. Like he becomes two people.
Like, that's business. Like the ones who do that and actually have the commitment to actually, you know, have the system and just work through the daily activities and just be so focused on the execution. Time is your friend.
Yes.
The more you do in short periods of time over long periods of time, like it's an exponential growth curve, and like you win. And so it sounds complex, but it's really simple. Just do the work and love it.
Dude, I wish I had an organ sound effect here, because you preach it like, dun, dun, like in those old black churches, like, come on, pastor. Dun, dun, let's go. I love it. So I want to ask you one last question, and this is really around the theme of what I'm all about and the brand that I started last year, talking to smart people, and really trying to get some definitions and context around the idea of meaningful work. So with the context of some of the opportunities that you've been provided, the opportunities that you've provided to such a huge ecosystem in Colorado and Denver, and, you know, so many different pockets of influence and opportunity that you've given, how would you define meaningful work, and how do you apply that to what you do?
I'd go back to, you know, when I was at the University of Denver, I had a chance to meet the great Bill Daniels, who, you know, was one of the fathers of the cable industry. And in the process of that, he gave me like a bunch of his like adages through his career. And one that always stuck with me that was so powerful was around generosity. And it said, and he always, you know, he was always known to say, like, if feeling good is your ulterior motive, that's the only ulterior motive in business that's acceptable. And it was this deep point that generosity provided so much value to heart, mind, and soul that if you were focused on it through your career, that it was always the most impactful way to live your life. And so for me, when I think about the impact work, I always look at it as a function of heart and pride. Like where are you most magnetically pulled with your heart to do the work that you're like the superpower best in the world at? Like no one can be better at that actual career, you know, aspiration than you. Like your heart is satisfied. And I use the word pride intentionally because, like, I think when you're doing your best and the most meaningful work, you can sit back in a chair and you're like, yeah, man, yeah, that is some good shit right there. And so like that combination of heart and satisfaction of quality and performance, I think it's where that intersection of like meaningful work really comes together.
Yeah.
And the cherry on top and the icing is when it's generosity and like gratitude laden, like the ability that you lifted up a bunch of people, whether they worked with you, worked for you, you were mentors, like the process of combining heart and pride and the the tribe of humans that came with you, that gratitude of like, yeah, I'm pretty hot, but look at all the amazing like crumbs of awesomeness of other people, starting to aspire to achieve their dreams. Like, I think that intersection is where we all need to live. And so for me, my meaningful path is like, wherever I don't have to jump out of bed, my eyes shut easy and my heart smiles at the end of the day. Like, that's magic. And I think we're all yearning for it. So it's rad.
Woo-wee. Come on, Erik Mitesek. Speak a word, brother. Come on.
You're the best.
Generosity, heart, pride. Guys, this guy is a poet. Somebody write this down and make it a song, because that is the pull. And as I'm thinking about the things that pull my heart, the things that like I'm just naturally, just, oh my gosh. And then you can sit back and look at it and smile and sleep easy and wake up, satisfied. And man, let me not just repeat what you were saying, because that's one for the books. That's one for the books. My man, Erik, I really, really appreciate it. We like to keep it, short and punchy. Where is my music? Why did my studio audience, by way of my Bluetooth speaker, turned off? So we gotta get the studio audience back up. But let me ask, if folks want to connect with you, learn more about you, and the things that you're doing, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, easy to find. Mitesek.com, Mitisek.com. Lots of details on all the things that are happening in Denver. And most importantly, easy ways. All my details are there: email, phone, everything you need to connect. And always Johnny on the spot to make sure anyone that wants to get involved in our Colorado community. If I'm not the resource, I'll connect you to it. And can't wait to invite wherever in the world you're listening from to the most amazing innovation center in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Elias says compassion, empathy, and a drive to find the best in people brings meaningful work to your life. Absolutely.
Amen.
You amen is right. Well, guys, that is our show today. If you are catching this on the rebroadcast, please let us know. If you have thoughts, ideas, ways that we can make it better, email me. Let me know. Tim@MrMeaningfulWork.com. Tim@MrMeaningfulWork.com. You can join our community there as well. We have some really exciting things coming up here in the fall, so we want you guys to be a part of it. If you want to hear Erik again, if you want to hear his buddy Brian again, if you want to hear some of the other super awesome folks that we've had on the show, go check us out on Spotify, Apple Music, MrMeaningfulWork.com, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the places. And we want to make sure that you guys have the best time. So we are going to have our outro, guys. It has been great. We have another show next week that we're excited about. But right now, we're just going to end with some vibrations. My man is out there vibing. Look at those. Look at that boy go. Look at that boy go. Yo, it's been real, guys. I appreciate it. I love it. We'll see you guys next week. Hey.